Striewski and Scott rolling on. The alarm clock that we need. Whoa, that's what we're talking about. That's what it sounds like. And this is a perfect team. Gary, this is a perfect team.
Oh, my
Notre
goodness.
Dame. Notre Dame sleptwalk. They beat Texas A&M last week. Absolutely smacked up at home. Northern Illinois out-physical them, out-executed. What'd you see?
Quite literally out-dogged them, did those Huskies. Also, Notre Dame on military time?
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Maybe that's why they're showing
played
up.
like Army last week.
They're showing up to. Did Army beat Navy last year? I do believe so. Same colorway, by the way, too, Navy and gold.
Weird.
They need to wake up expeditiously because Notre Dame, as everybody knows, does not have the fortune or the ability to get into the college football playoff field of 12 by winning a conference because they don't belong to a conference. So they are going to have to get in on the merits of an at-large bid. And if you are losing to what many talking heads on this very network said is the biggest upset loss since App State beat Michigan 20-something years ago, that spells trouble because you have Louisville at the end of this month and then USC to close the season out. Those are your only two statement, as I use in air quotes, games that you have remaining on your schedule. And none of these games are really gimmies. So if you're Notre Dame, it is getting very late, very early.
November 23rd, maybe in the gimme realm. My thing, when I look at it, that's when they play. That's when they play Army. No, my thing when I look at it is the second straight week that they've lost to a Group of 5 school in week 2. So when you say it's getting late early, it's basically like, hold on.
But they're on time at this point with something like that.
Maybe. I mean, once is a fluke, twice is a pattern. Is that?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, your dad was Army.
Nerd.
Your dad was Army. My dad was Navy. They all had these little, mechanisms for proper planning prevents poor performance.
5 Ps.
Well, yeah, the 5 P, or you add a 6th if you wanted.
Piss poor.
Piss poor performance. Yep. But when I look at what they do coming out of the gates, they write big checks. They paid Northern Illinois $1.4 million to come in and play them.
It's not a good return on investment.
The play calling was baffling. They were having success running the football, and then they just got away from it. I don't know if it was a Riley Leonard confidence boost game or if it was a situation where Northern Illinois just wouldn't go away.
Whoa! Oh, by the way, if it's a confidence boost game, the reverse happened because Riley Leonard through 2 games has not thrown an air touchdown. Couple interceptions, and between 2 games, less than 400 yards total passing.
Leaking.
The offense is stagnant.
Speaking of an air game, a little hot air from the Gare Bear. Michigan.
He is I.
Michigan loses to Texas. Texas is a top 3 team. Why do they need a wake-up call?
Again, you're talking about a team, it's getting late, early. It's with Michigan because the rest of this gauntlet is exactly that in the Big Ten. They have some dogs coming into the big house and having to go on the road and play them. You got USC paying a visit in 2 weeks. You got Oregon paying a visit, and then you got to go to Ohio State, and we've already mentioned it in the infancy of this season. That game will be the last opportunity Ryan Day gets, in my opinion, of beating Michigan, because if he doesn't, that's the last time he gets an opportunity to beat Michigan. So you know they are going to get everything November 30th against Ohio State. But listen, we are still in September, so we'll focus on that. What did we say in Fire 'em Up last week? If you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none.
You got none.
Quarterbacks. Davis Warren hasn't really shown us much to give us any sort of optimism going into this, the rest of this season with Michigan able to manufacture offense because they simply haven't. And listen, we know Texas, they are an anomaly. They are outside of your standard comparison because the AP says they are now the 2nd best team in the country. So you knew that was going to look like a bit of an anomaly. But I've seen enough so far this season out of Michigan to say I haven't seen enough that gives me confidence that there'll be anything.
Okay. If you frame the question as could they still be a snooze, right? Are we snoozing on them being a college football playoff contender?
Yeah.
There is still a chance. There's a chance now. There's a chance. Because, matter of fact, they could even host a game.
They're not
because if you win your conference.
They're not winning the Big Ten. Stop. You're telling yourself that.
If you win your conference. How did you just couch the Ryan Day discussion? We haven't seen anything from Ryan Day that gives us confidence that he can beat Michigan.
Well, we've seen his offense score points in 2 weeks this season.
Okay.
We haven't seen Sharon Moore do that.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. But this is what I'm trying to say is a non-conference loss. That's all this is.
Okay.
It doesn't factor into your Big Ten path. If you still take care of business, as Michigan did last year in the Big Ten, you can go to the college football playoff. As a matter of fact, if you win the Big Ten, even with a loss to Texas on your resume, you can host a college football playoff game.
Rando, they're hosting USC. Big Ten, Oregon, Big Ten, Ohio State, Big Ten.
Those are the big 3.
They're
Those are the
losing
big three.
2 of those 3
All right,
games.
you throw Oregon out like it's a challenge. I don't know, man. Hasn't looked like one. They're 2-0,
Okay.
and they dropped in the rankings. Gary, make sense of Oregon.
All right, I'm going to say this. They got everything that Idaho could throw at them. First, they got the Vandals, and then they got Boise State. Now, Boise State, this was, I think, the scoreboard indicates this game was closer than I think it actually was. Ashton Gentai was running crazy. Ashton Genty, he had 2 touchdowns coming off of a 6-touchdown performance. I'm not so much worried about the Ducks. Dylan Gabriel will round into form. Remember, this is his first season in Eugene with Dan Lanning. He just got engaged to his girlfriend. Congratulations.
Hey.
Congratulations, Dylan Gabriel. Now he can focus on ball, Randy.
Okay,
I ain't worried about Oregon.
Okay.
Although I still do think it's weird that we ran that EA Sports simulation and it had Oregon winning the national championship. And that's why you're not supposed to believe anything you read on the internet.
Okay, there's an issue offensively.
Okay.
They're letting other teams get to their quarterback.
That's true.
And it's one thing if they've played Michigan. Michigan has a good defense still. One thing if they played Ohio State, as they perhaps will in conference. No, they've played Idaho, who got home on Dylan Gabriel, forced a fumble. They've also played Boise State, not known for its defense. So when they step up a weight class within conference, I'm a little bit worried about Dylan Gabriel. Otherwise, yes, moving the football. Yes, have some drives stalled out and ended in more field goals than they'd like. Yeah, especially against Idaho. But defensively, they're making other teams look good. Yeah. Whereas last year, that was a standard Dan Lanning, former SEC defensive coordinator, that was sort of a bow-up defense. And this year, it's been a little bendy.
I'm just wondering if Oregon, and if it looks like that in the box score and the final score, because you're getting the best shot from schools that share a border with Oregon, and a lot of players who think, I'm good enough to have played here. Oregon didn't recruit me. I didn't get an offer from Oregon. So I think I buy into a little bit of that because it's Idaho and because it's Boise State. I guess it's going to be indicative of what we see going forward now with Oregon playing outside of the region teams.
Okay, you talk about how Oregon has won its battle with its border mate, right? They've won the Potato State battle. They've taken it on 2 schools in Idaho.
What's your favorite form of potato?
It would be the French fry, and it would be waffle cut. Thank you for asking.
Traitor.
But now they have an opponent within their state because up next for the Ducks, the Civil War with the Beavers.
Tater tots.